There was no inflation before Russia invaded Ukraine. There was no inflation. That is the sole cause of this rising price environment. Hey, everybody. That and more today. We're going to give you another dose of economic reality. Wanted to put this out today. I found a lot of news that we need to be aware of here, and want to paint the picture of what we should expect here on U.S. soil, and how we can best prepare for this. And I want to kind of lean more in that direction, how we can best prepare for this. But first, let's take a look at what I think are the most important news articles today regarding the economy, the financial system, and the monetary world that we like to keep a close eye on here. Multiple reports today that China may now be assisting Russia in one way or another. Now, some of you may say, hey, JJ, that's China, that's Russia, that has nothing to do with us. No, it has a lot to do with us because we're a net importer. We rely on the global supply chain to give us a lot of the goods that we need every day. We saw what's happening with oil prices. Now, oil prices, luckily, have taken somewhat of a dip, but I don't know why anyone wouldn't think that oil prices are just going to resume their upward trend. There's always pullbacks and corrections on the way to new highs. If you look at any stock chart, any price chart, it's never straight up and down. There's always pullbacks, corrections, and pauses in price movements. But again, with what's happening geopolitically and globally, with the war and more, 2020 we saw the Great Sickness came out. Does anyone think that anything's going to get fixed and get better? So continue for things to get worse, continue to brace. And these global tensions, what's happening over in Europe, we have now declared an act of war against Russia with the sanctions. Sanctions are an act of war because it affects not just the leaders, but also the populations of these countries. And when you put restrictions on these countries, it affects these countries financially, and sanctions are known to be an act of war. So we are at war. Even if it's not U.S. troops on the ground, we have U.S. troops all over the world, but we are at war right now, and financially we're going to feel the pain here in the United States. Now, it's interesting, the United States, we have troops in dozens of different countries all over the world. We have the world's biggest military budget. We send out all this money, billions, to countries all over the world. But yet we have homeless veterans here on U.S. soil. So it's pretty sad and pretty amazing when you look at the big picture of this. But Americans that are not ready for this are really going to feel the pain. Even people that are prepared are going to feel some pain from this. I consider myself pretty well prepared. I've been seeing this coming for years. And I think most of you that have been on this channel, we've seen the writing on the wall. We knew this inflationary situation was going to get worse and the cost of living to get worse. And there's nothing being done right now to correct the bubbles or to deflate the bubbles. Everything being done is inflating. Now, there's a couple things that are sort of deflationary, but the inflationary measures still greatly outweigh the deflationary measures. We've got slightly higher mortgage rates. Today, the 10-year bond, we saw a pretty big jump in that. At nearly a 6% increase, we're now at about 2.12. So yes, the money printers are allowing that to rise, and that's going to translate into higher mortgage rates, right? Unless they push it right back down. Of course, anything could happen, but we do see the trend going higher. Let's take a look here. All right, so closer to a 2-year high. Nothing to really burst this housing bubble, that's for sure. And remember, where there's a housing bubble, you also have rising rents, because the more people that are priced out of buying a home, the more people are forced into the rental market, and that's going to continue to push prices higher for rents as well. Let's take a look at what's happening with rents. We've got some recent data on that. And if we look at the national median rent, we see that we're still up over 17% year over year. And just month over month, the rent increased by over 0.5%. So we're continuing this upward price pressure in the rental market right along with the home prices and the real estate market. All right, but we have this administration out here, the current administration here in the U.S., blaming these rising prices on what's happening over in Europe. I guess they think that people aren't paying attention. I hope everyone here realizes the truth that this was happening way before this conflict over in Eastern Europe, right? We don't have enough jobs here. We outsourced most of our manufacturing over the past many decades, and it was pretty good while it lasted. A lot of people were happy getting cheap items that were imported, and a lot of people, took advantage of that and got lulled into complacency, in my opinion. And now very few people are prepared for what's ahead of us. Now, even if you are prepared, it's still going to be very, very challenging out there and very, very dangerous. If you have a lot of food put away, you have an emergency fund, maybe 6 months, a year or more. When you are surrounded by desperate, hungry people, when we start seeing food prices go out of most people's budgets, you're going to start seeing even bigger increases in crime. Now, everything we've talked about over the past few years is now coming true. Look at the rising crime. We've got people looting cargo trains up in LA. We've got a big uptick in vehicle break-ins. If you're someone that has to park on the street because you live at an apartment building and don't have a garage, make sure your insurance is up to par, and your comprehensive coverage. That's what's going to pay for your vehicle while it's parked. If something happens, if it's stolen, if it's broken into, somebody breaks out your window to try to rummage through your glove box to see if they can get some spare change. Maybe they're going to steal your catalytic converter. We talked about that a few months ago. Even a huge uptick in people stealing gasoline. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to get a lot worse. But take a look at these recent articles about these gasoline thieves. Take a look what is happening here. This is down in Houston. Thieves steal over 1,000 gallons of diesel from the underground storage tank. This is the tanks that you see at these gas stations. And basically they found a way into the underground storage tank. You've seen this type of thing right here, these caps, and 1,000 gallons. So gas stations also are going to need to try to stop this. And the more this happens at these gas stations are going to have to charge more for the people that are actually paying for the gas to make up for these thefts. We've already seen certain stores closing down. We have pharmacies closing many locations, including Walgreens, CVS, because of the uptick in crime. And we saw this coming years ago. We warned about this. People said we were doom and gloom. But again, a lot of things that we're predicting, just about everything we predicted is happening. And now just recently we have more police departments out there warning of thieves at the pump. So they're hitting gas stations, they're hitting parked cars, they're hitting vehicles in car lots, car dealers. And if you're someone that has to park your car on the street, you might want to think about getting a better alarm system, security cameras if you're in a position to put up cameras to keep an eye on your car, maybe one with motion detectors. Now, if you're on a busy street, that's going to be not going to work so well because you're going to have cars driving by, people walking by, and setting off the motion detector. But even the car in your driveway, if you're not parking in your garage, you might want to get a motion detector and a bright security light out there, motion detector light, and camera and a car alarm. So it's going to get worse, and be very, very careful. Even if you park your car in a garage, break-ins are going to increase. We already see that in most major cities now, upticks in crime as poverty begins to spread as these rising prices continue to punish the average American. So folks, make no mistake, economic punishment is here. Save money where you can. That's my recommendation. The gas app that I mentioned, thank you for signing up for that. I think about 10 or 15 people signed up for that gas app where you save sometimes 10, 20, 30, even 40 cents a gallon by using this app. And if you go to our participating gas station, it's called Get Upside. I'll link to it again down below in description for those of you that want to save a few cents on gas. And if you're someone that has a long commute and you fill up your tank a lot, it can really add up over time. And that's just one thing you can do. Try to cut back where you can. Try to watch your spending. I know the cost of heating oil is really, really putting a dent in a lot of people's budgets. That's one thing. And here in San Diego, I don't have to worry about the summer. The AC bill is going to be very, very painful. Here in California, we have some of the highest electricity prices. Here in San Diego is actually the highest in the country for electricity bills. And just try to cut back where you can, because this thing's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Ultimately, when we do hit the most painful stage, um, I think there's going to be a lot of people that may not even survive this, because it's going to get so dangerous. The United States, we have been very, very spoiled over the past many, many decades with all the assistance programs, the payout programs, all of the rescue programs, all of the debt that people have been able to take on in order to keep up their lifestyle, to keep up with their lavish lifestyles. All right, so first way to prepare, try to cut back on expenses where you can. What does that mean? Maybe less vacations, maybe less entertainment, maybe cut the cable bill. Save money on gas, app down below in the description. Maybe start shopping for clothes that aren't brand new. Maybe go to the thrift store. Maybe hit up some rummage sales for yard sales for household items and goods that you might need. I consider myself pretty well prepared, and even I'm looking for cheap bargains and using money saving apps, coupons, everything I can do to try to put a few more dollars back. So I think I'll be able to ride this storm out pretty good. But what concerns me is the rising crime. You're probably going to see carjackings go way up. We already see many of the bigger cities saw big upticks in carjackings and other types of crime. So no one's out of danger unless you're just sitting home in a bunker down position, 24/7. There's always rising danger out there for most people. Also, I recommend thinking about keeping some money out of the bank, because we know the banks, a lot of the banks have closed, and we've seen some outages. You see what's happening in other countries with people getting their accounts frozen. And what if you're one of the ones on the naughty list and they're going to go ahead and freeze your account, for having the wrong opinion or for saying the wrong thing? Continue to stack hard assets. My favorite is silver. So keep stacking, keep preparing. Please let me know down below what else we can do to prepare here in the U.S. What are you doing? Specifically, growing food's another great one. I'm going to try to step my game up on my gardening here starting this spring and into this summer here. And we'll talk about more as things progress. The economy, the financial system. Please stay tuned. Please make sure you are subscribed to help this channel stay alive. Please give us a thumbs up if you like what we talk about. Thanks everybody for being here. See you soon. Peace.